The National Baseball Hall of Fame is the most exclusive club in professional sports. Football has a massive tent. Basketball welcomes international legends with open arms. But baseball? Baseball is guarded by a strict, sometimes hypocritical gatekeeper, the Baseball Writers Association of America. Every year, legendary players with immaculate resumes get frozen out. Some are punished for the eras they played in, others completely ignored by voters who look at outdated stats instead of pure dominance. We're not talking about the obvious banned for life headliners here, but we are digging into the definitive top 5 biggest, most statistical, insulting Hall of Fame snubs in MLB history. Plus, a little hint, there's going to be a couple extras that you may or may not remember. And these names will absolutely make your blood boil. If you love baseball history, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment right now with a player you think is the biggest snub of all time. Let's get into this. Kicking off our official top 5 is a man who revolutionized how an entire position is played. Look no further than St. Louis Cardinals and New York Mets first baseman Keith Hernandez. When people think of Hall of Fame first baseman, they look for 500 home runs, they look for massive hulking power hitters, but Keith Hernandez proves that elite defense matters just as much. Hernandez is arguably the greatest defensive first baseman in the history of Major League Baseball, period. 11 straight Gold Gloves. That's right, 11 straight. He didn't just play first base, he orchestrated the infield. He would charge bunts down, and he would be at the finish line of double plays, and he would turn double plays that shouldn't have been humanly possible. But don't let his glove fool you. The man could hit. He won the 1979 NL MVP with the Cardinals, batting .344, and was the core piece of 2 different World Series championships, including the legendary 1986 New York Mets. He finished his career with a .296 batting average and a brilliant .384 on-base percentage. If Ozzie Smith is in the Hall strictly for his shortstop wizardry, Keith Hernandez deserves the exact same respect at first base. At number 4, we have one of the most dynamic, electric leadoff men ever to step onto a diamond, Kenny Lofton. Lofton's exclusion from the Hall of Fame is one of the biggest mysteries in modern baseball history. He was a catalyst for the powerhouse 1990s Cleveland baseball team, now known as the Guardians, a 6-time All-Star, and a 4-time Gold Glove winner in center field. He led the American League in stolen bases for 5 consecutive seasons. Lofton finished his career with 622 stolen bases, placing him 11th on the all-time list. Every single eligible player ahead of him on that list is in Cooperstown. He racked up a 68.4 career BWAR, which sits comfortably ahead of certified Hall of Famers like Vladimir Guerrero, Tony Olivia, and Kirby Puckett. Yet, just like Johan Santana, the voters completely botched his candidacy, falling off the ballot in his very first year of eligibility. Kenny Lofton didn't just have a great career, he controlled the tempo of every single game he played in. Number 3 takes us back to the 1980s. To look at a pitcher who is completely failed by the era he played in. That's right, it's Dave Stieb. If you ask casual fans who the best pitcher of the 1980s was, you'll hear names like Jack Morris, Roger Clemens, or Orel Hershiser. But if you look at the actual analytical data, the correct answer is Dave Stieb. Stieb was the ace of the Toronto Blue Jays, throwing a devastating slider and a heavy sinker that broke bats for a decade. Voters in the 90s and 2000s were obsessed with traditional stats like pitcher wins, because Jack Morris played for an incredible Detroit Tigers team and racked up wins. He eventually got punched into Cooperstown. Meanwhile, Stieb had a vastly superior ERA, WHIP, and strikeout numbers, but lacked the run support. Stieb dragged the Blue Jays to relevance, threw a no-hitter, made 7 All-Star teams, and led the Major League in Pitcher Award during the 1980s. He was criminally underrated then and remains criminally overlooked now. Coming in at number 2 is the ultimate analytic snub in Major League history, Bobby Grich. If Bobby played in today's era where front offices and fans worship on-base percentage, defensive runs saved, and WAR, he would have been a first ballot lock. But because he played in the 1970s and 80s, his traditional stats like a .266 career batting average, most traditionalists overlook, and that's an absolute travesty. Let's look at the cold hard numbers. Grich finished with a career 71.1 BWAR. That isn't just a Hall of Fame number. That places him 8th all-time among second basemen. He has a higher career WAR than certified legends like Ryne Sandberg, Roberto Alomar, and Craig Biggio. He possessed elite power for a middle infielder, drawing walks and an elite clip to finish with a stellar .371 lifetime OBP, all while playing elite Gold Glove winning defense. He is the highest rated eligible position player outside of Cooperstown, who has absolutely no controversy attached to his name. It's time to fix this mistake. We've reached that point of the video where we have to talk about the 2 guys who deserve their flowers. First up, the heart and soul of the 1970s New York Yankees, Thurman Munson. Munson's case isn't about a lack of production. It's about a tragedy that cut a legendary career short. In just 11 seasons, Munson did it all. 1970 AL Rookie of the Year, 1976 AL MVP, 3 Gold Gloves, 7 All-Star appearances. He was the undisputed leader of back-to-back World Series champions. Look at his metrics. Munson's WAR per 162 games sits at 5.2. That's higher than Roy Campanella and nearly identical to Yogi Berra. His peak was undeniably Hall of Fame worthy. Because his life was tragically taken in a plane crash in 1979 at age 32, voters pushed his lack of career longevity. Cooperstown is meant to honor the story of baseball, and you cannot tell the story of the 1970s without the captain. He belongs in the Hall. Our second honorable mention is the definition of peak dominance over career longevity. Johan Santana. From 2004 to 2008, Santana was without question the most terrifying pitcher on the planet. He won 2 AL Cy Young Awards with the Minnesota Twins And he should have won a third in 2005 when he led the league in strikeouts and whip, but finished third in voting. During his prime, he led the majors in ERA, strikeouts, and innings pitched. He was an absolute cyborg on the mound, but injuries detailed the back half of his career. And in 2018, the BBWAA did something unforgivable. They dropped him from the ballot after just 1 year when he failed to hit the 5% threshold. To pull a two-time Cy Young winner and the era's most dominant southpaw off the ballot in year one is a textbook baseball crime. And finally, the number one most insulting, egregious, and downright disrespectful Hall of Fame snub in modern baseball history. Sweet Lou Whitaker. For 19 seasons, Lou Whitaker anchored the Detroit Tigers lineup in infield, alongside shortstop Alan Trammell. He formed the longest-running, most iconic double-play duo in the history of the sport. They played together for nearly 2 decades, y'all. In 2018, the Modern Baseball Era Committee finally did the right thing and inducted Alan Trammell into the Hall of Fame. But they left Lou Whitaker out. And here's why that makes absolutely zero sense. Look at those numbers side by side. Whitaker had more hits. Whitaker had a significantly more home runs count. And Whitaker finished with a 75.1 career B-WAR, nearly 5 full points higher than his partner, who is already wearing a Hall of Fame jacket. Lou was a Rookie of the Year, 3-time Gold Glove winner, a 4-time Silver Slugger, and a 5-time All-Star. He was a premier weapon at a premium defensive position on a legendary World Series winning team. There is absolutely no valid logical or statistical argument for Alan Trammell to be in the Hall of Fame, while Lou Whitaker watches from the sidelines. It is the definitive crowning snub of Cooperstown history. The numbers do not lie. Whether it's defensive legends like Keith Hernandez, analytics gods like Bobby Grich, or icons like Lou Whitaker, the Hall of Fame committee has some serious explaining to do. What do you guys think? Which of these top 5 snubs bothers you the most? Is there a pitcher or hitter that I completely missed and deserves to be on this list? Sound it off in the comments below. Let's get this debate going. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dive sports history. And we'll see you on the next one. Until next time, El Medio del Norte JK Reacts signing out. Thank you guys.